Hello and welcome everyone. Cameron Herrin is a 21-year-old man who has just been sentenced to 24 years in prison. This sentence may seem very heavy, but it is not really worth the crime he is accused of. Cameron Herrin is a hit-and-run driver who hit a mother and daughter at more than 60 miles per hour, killing them almost instantly, while illegally racing a car with his friend. The boy was totally drunk at the time of the accident, which in the eyes of the law is an extremely aggravating circumstance. Cameron Herrin pleaded guilty to all charges and was sentenced to almost a quarter of a century in prison at the end of his highly publicized trial. But if this harsh verdict will never bring back the innocent victims of a young driver, nor comfort their families, it will at least have the merit of keeping a dirty predator off the road. However, despite the despicable crime of which he is the author, thousands of people have decided to support Cameron, even asking for a reduction in his sentence. For these people, a young man does not deserve this sentence, for reasons that you will see are totally inane and insolent. So sit back and relax, because we are going to see who Cameron Herrin really is, and why thousands of people are desperate to get him out of jail. To understand this sordid socio-justice affair, we needed to go back in time a little to a beautiful sunny day in the summer of 2018. We are on May 23rd on the Great Boulevard of Bayshore, located in downtown Tampa, in the state of Florida. At the wheels of their vehicle, two young teenagers, totally drunk, decided to race each other along this huge boulevard. Cameron Herrin and his young friend, John Baranow, speed down the road, revving up the engines of their high-powered cars. Cameron was at the wheel of his Ford Mustang that he had just received as a gift, has no trouble catching up to his friend's Nissan. His muscle car has a V8 with a phenomenal power of more than 500 horsepower. He overtakes John's Nissan sport car, takes a look at his speedometer, and realizes, not without pride, that he had just exceeded 160 miles per hour. At such speed, it takes almost 280 meters to brake, and the reaction time of the pilot can go up to 3 seconds, depending on the concentration and his reflex capacity. But because of his advanced state of intoxication, Cameron's reflexes were significantly impaired, and so was his ability to concentrate. So, as a young mother was quietly crossing the road, pushing her little girl in front of her, Cameron Herrin struck her head-on, ending their existence. This terrible accident, which could have easily been avoided, took the lives of two innocent people, a mother and her 1-year-old daughter, and plunged their family into insurmountable grief. Jessica Reisinger Rambold, 24 years old, and her daughter Lilia, just 12 months old, both died instantly. The atrocity of this roadside carnage shocked the American public, and the case was highly publicized. Cameron Herrin was remanded in custody pending trial, and eventually the case faded from the media spotlight, and little by little, no more was heard of it in the press. But with the beginning of his trial in April 2021, this sad story would come back to the forefront, but this time with a completely different media spin. On Thursday, April 8th, Judge Christopher Nash announced his verdict and dropped the sentence of 24 years in prison in front of a wide-eyed Cameron Herrin. The magistrate had previously heard various testimonies from the families and friends of young Cameron, but also the devastated families of the two victims, who shouted their rage and their immense sorrow on the witness stand. The latter felt completely outraged by this verdict, since they had strongly hoped that Cameron would get the maximum sentence, namely 30 years of criminal imprisonment. According to them, the judge should have been less lenient because the young driver was drunk at the time of the accident, and he was participating in a wild car race. Other aggravated circumstances also existed in this case, such as the fact that the young man had been ticketed several times for speeding, and that he clearly had a history of bad driving on the road. It was also reported that the judge considered trying Herrin as a juvenile offender because of his age at the time of the accident, which was 18, before ultimately trying him as an adult. It is certain that if he had been tried as a juvenile, he would never have received such a heavy sentence. The magistrate in charge of the case was not as lenient as this in the end. Now 21 years old, the young boy will only be released from prison at the age of 45, unless his sentence is reduced, of course. But the American justice system is not very receptive to this kind of appeals, and it is likely that young Cameron will spend the whole of his prison sentence in a dingy cell of the state prison. However, this fate is nothing compared to the immense pain in which the family and the close relations of the two unfortunate victims of the driver are plunged. they will have to drag with them until the end of their days. This insurmountable mourning and this terrible feeling of impotence. It is moreover the whole of the public opinion which showed its support to this poor family, and which thus strongly condemned the irresponsible acts of the young driver, which had the most serious consequences. However, instead of punishing Cameron Herrin as any sane person would have done, some people showed their unwavering and unhealthy support to the young criminal of the road. It all started on the social network TikTok with the emergence of a short video clip of Herrin's trial, staged in the style of a music video. Shared on the account of a user named 3HKI, the little musical sequence allows us to see some brief excerpts of the hearing of Cameron Herrin. We can indeed see the young man who is dressed in a suit to the rules of the American courts, and who seems very calm and resigned in front of the magistrates. Accompanied by a small and insipid music, the sequence reveals some fleeting moments, but which are shown in slow motion in order to accentuate the melodramatic range. Unless one is blind or totally stupid, one can guess that the clip is supposed to valorize Herrin and make him a victim of American justice, rather than a guilty man who deserves to be sentenced. However, this TikTok video will quickly become viral, since it will have collected more than 23 million views in a record time and thousands of comments and likes. Another video will also be published, still on the same TikTok account, and this time will collect more than 2.8 million views. Very quickly, hashtags like Cameron Herrin and Justice for Cameron Herrin start to flourish on different social networks, including Twitter and Instagram. It would indeed be thousands, if not tens of thousands of people who would thus be favorable to the cause of the young driver and murderer of two innocent victims, nothing less. The movement of solidarity towards a convicted criminal did not fail to shock the American public opinion, outraged by such insolence. But it was an even harder pill to swallow for the family of the two unfortunate victims, Jessica Reisinger-Rambo and her daughter Lilia. Go make these poor people understand that the killer of their daughters has literally become a star of social networks, and that many people openly and outrageously show him their unwavering support. And there is indeed only to draw among the anthology of comments that pullulate on these hashtags and videos to realize the ignominy, because some of these comments literally border on indecency, like those who call for the release of the young man for the simple and unique reason that he is a handsome guy. A petition has even been launched online on the change.org website in order to collect the maximum of signatures to get Herrin out of prison. And so far, no less than 28,689 people have signed it. The organizers of this petition have even posted their new goal, namely to reach 35,000 signatures, and it is only a matter of time, indeed. But how could these tens of thousands of internet users sign such a petition? Because by doing so, they have associated themselves with a woman and baby killer, since it is not simply a question here of an unfortunate accident due to the fatality of the road, but well and truly to a combination of aggravating circumstances and clear contempt of highway code and thus of human life. There is a reason why most sensible people felt deeply outraged by this petition of those who defend Cameron Herrin. Because when you drink and drive a car and race with your comrades with no regard for human life and the most basic rules of the road, you can't be innocent. Driving a race car while drunk is like taking a gun out and shooting it in all directions without aiming at anyone in particular. But for the authors of this petition, as well as tens of thousands of signatories, the crime was not intentional nor premeditated, and it was for them a simple but tragic accident. But this petition is in fact only the tip of the iceberg, since the hashtags and support pages on social networks have literally flooded the web. Requests for the release of Cameron Herrin have been pouring in by the thousands on the offices of Hillsborough County State's Attorney Andrew Warren, but also at the prison where the young man is currently incarcerated. The internet users behind these hashtags have even posted their comments on the page of several local television stations while tagging is passing the governor of the state of Florida, President Biden, as well as Oprah Winfrey. By the end of July, there were over 100,000 tweets on Herrin, with a new tweet almost every 30 seconds. And on TikTok, the videos that were linked to Herrin have been viewed more than 1.7 billion times. Such a support is indeed scandalous, And given the magnitude of the controversy, some experts in online disinformation and internet fraud have studied the subject. Then they noticed flagrant similarities with paid influence campaigns using fake accounts, and which abound on social networks like Instagram or TikTok. And indeed, by analyzing the thousands of tweets, they quickly discovered that some of the accounts were using profile photos of faces generated with artificial intelligence technology. These photos can indeed be made in just a few clicks on the website thispersondoesnotexist.com. The experts also noted that many of the accounts published on Herrin in July had also been created in July. With this valuable help of the Bot Sentinel tool, an application used to monitor inauthentic Twitter accounts, they indeed discovered that the pro-Herrin accounts were mainly controlled by real humans and not only by bots, which are fully automated and controlled by computers. So there are dishonest people who want to create media buzz and inflate the numbers of visitors on their own pages. With this villainous practice, these vile propagandists hope to attract enough traffic to be financially profitable, and they have no qualms about seizing a dramatic case like Cameron Herrin's to make it their golden goose. But this does not prevent us from seriously questioning the level of intelligence of some users of social networks. Indeed, one would have to have a serious deficit in neurons to let themselves be led by the tip of the nose and comfort themselves in the choice of supporting a baby killer. By allowing themselves to be manipulated in this way, these people have demonstrated their blatant inability to think for themselves, which makes them ultimately extremely docile sheep in the march toward the slaughterhouse. And that's it for today. What do you think about the unhealthy obsession with Cameron Herrin and the constant demands to get him out of jail? Tell us in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to put a like and subscribe and activate notifications. See you soon for new discoveries out of the ordinary.